I think it's finally time we put some mud flaps on this thing. Now this thing has needed mud flaps since I built it, but I just never got around to putting them on, or building a set and putting them on. And it needs mud flaps to keep the dirt from packing up in here. I've actually had it to the point where there was so much mud packed in here I couldn't see the back of these lights. It's pretty clean now, but it gets pretty bad when you go through some pretty big mud puddles. So I think I need some mud flaps for that reason, and to keep crap from flying, you know, into the traffic behind me. That's kind of a secondary reason. I don't care about them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece of rubber here, cut it down to the right size. I pulled this out of a dumpster and I showed it to you in one of the previous videos. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to size and then go out into the scrap pile and see if I can find a piece of angle and bolt the piece of angle up here on the wood and bolt the mud flap to that, and it'll hang down. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. So let's go out in the scrap pile and see if we can find a piece of angle that'll work. Well, I've been digging through my metal pile, and even though it's huge, there's not really a lot of angle pieces out here. I did find a few little brackets and one little angle piece from a bed frame that's all tweaked up. But as far as loose pieces of angle iron, there really isn't much here because I use it so much. A lot of tubing, but no angle iron. Now, I found these brackets and they would work. I could use them, but I think I found something better. I was just about to give up looking for angle pieces, and I was going to walk back to the garage, and I found this. This thing is just full of big, thick angle pieces. So I think what I'm going to do is grab some wrenches here and take this bagger unit off, this bagger bracket, and take it apart and use the pieces I need for angles. I think that'll work real good. Alright, I got the bracket off the lawnmower, and I've got it taken apart here. So I've got my two angle brackets here. And what I'm going to do is actually make a couple of cuts in them. I'm going to make a cut right about here to get rid of this edge. And I'm going to make a cut right about where these two holes are, just to square this up, get rid of this angled chunk here. Then I'll have a nice square piece that's going to be about 17 inches long, which will be just right because I want to make the mud flaps themselves about 16 inches long, or wide I should say, because I crawled under here and I measured between the outside board here and right about to the leaf spring, and that's roughly 16 inches, so I'll have enough room to not hit the leaf spring, yet I'll still have plenty of room to cover the tire, so hopefully that mud won't get thrown out. I could put it further back and make it as wide as I want, but I don't really think I need to, so I'll stuff it here and it'll be kind of tucked up out of the way. So I think we should go ahead, grab my saw, and just start cutting these off, squaring them up. Well, there we go. I think that worked pretty well. One down, one to go. Well, I've got both of my brackets cut out for the mud flaps here, and I went ahead and just took it to the grinder and cleaned that up a little bit. Nothing too fancy. It's going to be under the truck, and nobody's really going to pay attention to the brackets anyway. But I think they'll work pretty good, and the next step is to go ahead and mark this out and cut the mud flaps I need. Alright, I got my rubber mat laid out here. I'm just going to go ahead and measure about 16 inches here. Be right about there. So I'm going to grab my square and lay it on there so I get a fairly straight line. And match it up here as best I can. I'm going to take my razor and just run it down the edge of the square. It should be relatively straight. Now I can go ahead and do it a few more times if I can keep it straight. There we go. And let's see here, how far do I want to go? I think I'm just going to go a full 2 feet, and then I can trim off the rest later if I need to. feet. There we go. I got one mud flap. I've got my 2 mud flaps cut out, and now it's time to start drilling the holes in the top of this so I can mount it to the bed here. And what I'm going to do is first drill a hole right in the middle here, and then I'll put this up under the truck and actually drill a hole straight through these boards. And then I can drop in one of these carriage bolts from the top, put a nut on the back side of this, and that'll hold it in place for me to drill the other 2 holes, and then I'll have it right where I want it, and then I can go ahead and mount the mud flaps. Well, there we go. We got one hole. Now I can put this up under the truck and drill in through the bottom of it, right up through the bottom of the floor here. Well, there we go. Brackets up. Now I just got to drill 2 more holes, and I don't think it'll go anywhere. I've got my other 2 holes drilled, and I've got the bolts in there. I went ahead and drilled these from the top. 1, because it was easier, and 2, I didn't want to drill this one too far over and actually hit this board, so I figured it'd be safer to take it from the top, and then I know where the head's going to land. So I've got that all in and mounted up. And I've got the mud flap kind of clamped on there right now. What I'm going to do next is actually come in here and drill with my 1/4-inch drill bit a couple of these holes on each side and put the bolts in, and then I'll do 3/8 here and here because that's just the size of the holes, and then this mud flap will be mounted. I got all my holes drilled and all my bolts in there, and this mud flap is hung. 1 down, 1 to go. Well, I've got the other mud flap mounted up, and I guess that's how you make mud flaps out of an old lawnmower and some rubber mats you find in the dumpster. But she's all done, and I think it looks halfway decent. It'll do the job for sure. The only thing I'm missing is them little naked ladies that go on the bottom, but I'll have to figure out something for that.